I know it's time for the No Half Step in Hockey coverage, so let me get to the goods, and we have a whole lot to talk about. It's time for operation number 721. That's right, show number 721 for the Renegades of Puck. And at this moment in hockey history, before we start on the division, before we start on the matchup, we have absolutely franchise-size breaking news here to report on the show. Let's just start with the announcement of David Poile will be retiring at the end of this season. The press conference will be taking place on Monday at Bridgestone Arena, and David Poile's replacement will be announced, and it will be first Predators head coach Barry Trotz. Barry Trotz returned to the organization 2 seasons ago after losing his job as the New York Islanders head coach when he did not accept another job as the head coach, and he did accept a supplementary role here with the Nashville Predators front office. We had anticipated this could be a succession plan moving forward, with Barry Trotz, of course, giving indications that he would like to move from coaching to a general manager. So the absolutely massive breaking news on this situation is that David Poile will be retiring at the end of this NHL calendar year, and that Barry Trotz will be taking over. Press conference taking place Monday at Bridgestone Arena. But that is not all the breaking news for the Nashville Predators. Also, a couple of trades to report. The first trade to report, Nino Niederreiter has been traded to the Winnipeg Jets for a 2024 second-round pick. And here, just last night after the Nashville Predators game in Arizona, it was Tanner Jeannot traded to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And this is a massive return for the beloved forward and cult figure here in Nashville. Cal Foote is the one rostered NHL player that will be returning to the Nashville Predators. He's got a couple of years experience, a 2017 first-round draft pick by Tampa Bay. The rest of it is in draft capital. Coming up in this year's draft, 2023, third, fourth, and fifth round picks in 2024, a second-round draft pick, and in 2025, a first-round draft pick. There are some conditions around that, but we'll wait a couple of years to talk about that. So a lot of massive breaking news when it comes to the Nashville Predators over the weekend. Now, let's go back and talk about everything that's going on with the Nashville Predators hockey team on the ice currently, and we'll continue to have analysis and opinions on these big breaking stories throughout the rest of the episode. But at this moment in hockey history, the Nashville Predators currently find themselves in 5th place in the Central Division. They've skated in 57 games. They have a record of 29, 22, and 6. 64 points has them 7 points behind the 4th place Winnipeg Jets, also 7 points behind the 3rd place Colorado Avalanche, 8 points behind 2nd place Minnesota, and 10 points out of 1st place with the Dallas Stars. So let me read you the Central Division updated standings from the top down. The Dallas Stars currently sit in 1st place with 74 points, and Minnesota at 72. Colorado, Winnipeg each with 71. Colorado currently holding the tiebreaker, playing 3 less games than Winnipeg. Then the Nashville Predators find themselves in 5th place with 64 points. St. Louis at 57. Arizona is at 49. Chicago is at 47. So the Preds, the only team in the Central Division that are in the 60s in points, and the top 4 that look like they are forming the race pack for the end of the season here. It is separated by only 3 points right now. All of those teams are in the 70s. For the Nashville Predators, their next game will take place on home ice. It'll be against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Preds' home record is 16-10-3. The Preds have scored 169 times this season. They've given up 171 against. They have a goal differential of -2. Now, for the Nashville Predators and the Pittsburgh Penguins, it's the first time they've met this season. They will meet again later on in March. It will be on the 30th in Pittsburgh. For the Nashville Predators, this one-game homestand will be a very nice stopover at home after being in San Jose and Arizona. Now, Thursday, the next game will be in Florida, and then Saturday in Chicago, then on the 6th in Vancouver, the 9th in Arizona again, and the 11th in LA. So the Nashville Predators are about to go on one hellacious road trip, starting in Florida and then taking its way all the way across the country. So for the Nashville Predators, once they wrap up this game right here against the Pittsburgh Penguins, that road trip comes up. But first, we have to talk about that Penguins matchup. The Penguins come into Bridgestone Arena with an overall record of 29, 21, and 9. That's good for 67 points, 5th best in the Metropolitan Division. A road record of 13, 12, and 5, and a +2 goal differential. In their most recent stretch of action, we'll go back 5 games. The 18th of February is a 5-2 loss versus the New Jersey Devils. On the 20th of February is a 4-2 loss versus the New York Islanders, and then a 7-2 loss versus the Edmonton Oilers on the 23rd. The 25th saw a 3-2 overtime win at St. Louis, and then on the 26th, a 7-3 win versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, for the Nashville Predators and the Pittsburgh Penguins, of course, we know there is some history between these interconference rivals. They faced off against each other in the 2017 Stanley Cup Final. This game is hardly of those high expectations. The ranks between these two teams. Goals for when it comes to the Nashville Predators, 2.91 per game is 24th best in the NHL. 3.24 for Pittsburgh is 13th best in the NHL. When it comes to goals against, 2.98 by Nashville is 13th overall in the NHL. Goals against for Pittsburgh, 3.20 is 19th in the league. Shots for the Preds are 20th, generating 30.7 on net per game, while the Pittsburgh Penguins are generating 33.7 on net per game. That is good for 5th best in the league. But in the shots against category, the Pittsburgh Penguins are giving up 34 per game, massive number. That's 29th, very much near the bottom of the league, while the Nashville Predators are giving up 33.6 per game. That's 26th in the NHL. Not much better, but it is better. When it comes to the power play, the Preds are 25th in the NHL, 34 out of 182 conversions, 18.7%, and the Pittsburgh Penguins have the 13th best power play in the NHL, 44 out of 203 on the opportunities, 21.7% conversion out of the penalty kill. The Nashville Predators sit 14th in the NHL, 80.7% kill rate, 38 power play goals against, while the Penguins are 15th in the league, 79.9% kill rate. They've given up 38 power play goals against as well. Injuries becoming much more of an issue for this Nashville Predators team than it has been at any point in the season, with multiple players now leaving due to trade. Philip Forsberg, Parson, and Johansson all being out of the lineup is definitely putting a stress on the forward core for this Nashville Predators team. Forsberg still listed as day-to-day. Parson is day-to-day. That happened over the road trip. Johansson, of course, is out for the rest of the season, and Mark Borowiecki has continued to be listed on injured reserve, but I doubt we're going to see him again on the ice this year. When it comes to the individual stats for these two teams in this matchup, of course, when it comes to the Pittsburgh Penguins, it's the same names that you've come to know and recognize for the previous entire generation. Crosby, 26 goals, 45 assists for 71 points. Malkin, 23 and 39 for 62. Jake Gensel, 24 goals and season 20 assists for 52 points. Ricard Raquel, 21 and 19 for 40. And Rust, 14 and 22 for 36 points on the season. All of these players have very good games, typically, against the Nashville Predators. Tristan Jarry, net 17, 7 and 5, a 9.17 save percentage, a 2.79 goals against average. On the other side of the ledger, the home team Nashville Predators stats going into this game: the captain Romeo C, 17 goals, 37 assists for 54 points. Matt Duchene, 18 goals and 31 assists for 49 points. Philip Forsberg, out injured, still leads the team with 19 goals and 23 assists to that for 42 points. Mikhail Granlund, 9 goals and 27 assists for 36 points. Nino Niederreiter no longer on the Nashville Predators, but still tied for second in goals with 18, 20 assists for 28 points. UC Saros' updated numbers after the game in Arizona: 23, 16, and 5, a 9.16 save percentage, a 2.80 goals against average. That has you all set up for the Nashville Predators and the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's a one-game homestand for the Nashville Predators, and then off on one of the longest, most hellacious road trips of the season. That could be in more ways than one, with the franchise and the roster in complete flux heading into the trade deadline at the end of this week. We have no idea now that we have moved to an entire new place with this Nashville Predators team. The general manager is retiring. They have already named a replacement, and we have already seen 2 significant trades by this Nashville Predators front office. It is clear the path they are going to is looking to acquire as many future assets as possible, hit the reset button, and begin moving forward on a whole new plan. It is a moment we have been waiting for quite some time, and to see it already moving at the pace that it is, I have no idea where we end up by the end of the week, but I can tell you this has been probably the biggest 36-hour whirlwind in Nashville Predators franchise history. Of course, there's only been one GM in history, so to have him resign and to already have a plan in place and his replacement effectively named immediately, that was not something that we were expecting. But to see that the Nashville Predators did, behind the scenes, apparently have a plan. Now, whether that plan works or not, that's what we are going to be here to analyze, and that's what we're going to be here to give our opinions on as we move forward. But sliding Barry Trotz in seamlessly the way they have, beginning to dismantle what is on the team currently, and the tremendous amount of assets brought back in so far for Tanner Jeannot and Nino Niederreiter, it's an impressive start to what is the next phase of this Nashville Predators franchise, the first time in history, a new GM will make any significant decisions when it comes to this hockey club, and the Nashville Predators, first time in history that they are going to tear it down and rebuild it from the foundation up. That gets you all start with the big breaking news, the huge weekend that was for the Nashville Predators and everything that you have coming up against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now we got to go back and find out what happened in the desert between the Nashville Predators and the Arizona Coyotes. It's the Rebirth Sports Full Game Recap, and it's coming up next.